Barnard Sims. Hello and welcome to The Way It Is. I'm your host, Barnard Sims. We thank you so much for tuning in with us. I guess my personality on the show is Barnard the Barber, from the aspect of barbers are important people in the community, but we're not the only ones important. We have an important person on our show tonight, SHELBEY Diamond Alexander. But before I get to introducing her, let me lay the parameters for why we're having her on this show tonight. And this comes from the Secretary of State website, that we're having a special election now until January the 31st for Barrow and Jackson counties for Georgia House District 119 to fill a vacancy due to the resignation of Representative-elect Danny Rampey. The Republican representative was arrested and charged for stealing prescription drugs from an assisted living facility, and that's according to the Athens Banner Herald, published on January the 3rd, which brings us here. I always say that we get the representation that we deserve when we don't show up to vote. Mm-hmm. And in reference to getting better representation that we, the people, deserve, I'm honored to have our guest tonight, candidate for House District 119 seat, SHELBEY Diamond Alexander. How are you doing today, SHELBEY? And how should I refer to you for the rest of this interview?
Well, since we have become fast friends, you just call me SHELBEY.
Oh,
everybody else does. All my friends and family do. So you call me SHELBEY, just like you've been doing all along.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you. It's an honor and a pleasure to meet you here. Well, to have you as first time on our show, and thank you for stepping up to try to represent us. Again, we get the representation we deserve, and if we want to do better, we want better, we got to do better, and we want us to do better and deserve a candidate like you. But before we get into that, let's start from the beginning. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, whatever you'd like to share with our audience?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for this opportunity, and I really appreciate getting to know you and reading your book and meeting you at the Statham Sunflower Festival last year. That was a big plus for me, and so I really appreciate this. And I want to welcome everyone to this interview tonight. For those of you who don't know me, I was born and raised in Virginia, a little small country place called Natural Bridge. Not very many people know where it is. It's near Roanoke, Virginia. It's south of DC, Washington, DC. And the neighborhood was all about everybody raising everybody. You know, you didn't go very far without somebody knowing where you were, what you were doing. Everybody looked out for everybody. And that old adage of it takes a village to raise a child. Well, I was raised by the village. And when I had my children were raised by the village. And as a matter of fact, the village still exists. And as a matter of fact, we're still being raised by the village. So we all stay in contact with each other, and we encourage each other. And, you know, and that's what it's all about. And right now, what we're doing is we are still raising that village by being involved in the politics. Mm-hmm. I attended Natural Bridge High School, which is no longer in existence. In my class, believe it or not, there were 75 people, and I was number 5 in the group, which I'm very proud of. And that's only because I did not take calculus. Could not stand calculus, but that's okay. I'll take it. I'll take it. I was very involved in high school. We were always involved in community projects. You know, we had car washes. We did. We raised money for all types of community events. You know, we gathered cans and bottles. We went to we put on concerts, you know, to raise money for the elderly. We put together food drives. We did all types of things like that, whether we were cheerleaders or pom-pom girls or football teams or whatever. So I've been involved in all of that type of thing all of my life. You know, that's something that my parents instilled in us as we were growing up, my sister and I. And so that's something that I've tried to instill in our children also. And when you talk about children, I have three. My husband and I have three children, and we have three grandchildren. And our village is known for a very prestigious rock formation, and it's called what? Guess what? The Natural Bridge. And so I used to work there. I used to bus tables when I was about 15, 16 years old. So that's where I got my start working. And you know, it's a very interesting place because I learned to not roller skate and not ice skate there. So I used to hold on to the railings as we went through. You know, everybody else was skating and rolling along. I was holding on to the railings. But that's another story for another day. So we used to walk to the pool, which was about 2 miles away, but we used to have a blast doing that. I was in the choir. I'm still involved with my home church in Natural Bridge. I keep up with everybody. They keep up with me and my children. And, you know, so I'm still involved with that hometown feeling. And that's why I'm involved now with Winder, because it's that hometown feeling. And I enjoy being involved. We moved here from Virginia 27 years ago. We lived in Duluth for 7 years, and then we had a house built here in Winder because it was closer to what we were used to, that country feel. And so I became involved with the Democratic Party just by happenstance. I just happened to see a sign that says something about the Democratic Party, and I'm going, that sounds like it's right up my alley. So I became involved just as a member, and eventually I became second vice chair. Then I became first vice chair. And then about a little less than 2 years ago, I ended up being the chair. And not knowing what I was doing, I had several members of the existing committee to kind of say, oh, girl, go ahead, you can do it. We're back, we got your back. And I'm going, I don't have a clue what I'm doing. But considering my background and my personality, I just kind of jumped in. First of all, I stuck a toe in. And you know, being born and raised in the country, you always stick a toe in the creek and then you just put both feet in and just go for it. And so that's what I did. But I can say that a lot of the people around here have been very welcoming. They've been very open. They've been very supportive. I appreciate that. And that's what I'm going for right now. So I felt like that now is the time to step out on faith and do what you can and let folks know that the Democrats are strong. We may not have the majority right now, but you know what? That can change at the drop of a hat. And I'm determined to make that happen. So what else do you want to know about me?
I want to go back to the names of these towns in Virginia, because you just one generation away from Winder being named after an item. It used to be Jug Tavern. And I heard you say something about you moved from growing up, Natural Bridge, and you said a close town was Growing Up, Virginia?
Roanoke.
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 Roanoke, Virginia. Roanoke. Roanoke. Haven't you ever heard of the lost colony of Roanoke, Virginia?
No.
Oh, you don't know your history.
Only thing I know.
Let me try this. How about the Shenandoah Valley?
No.
No. You don't know your Virginia history. We're gonna have to have another conversation.
I know one thing about Virginia, though.
What's that?
they stopped Georgia from being #1 in Confederate monuments. But Virginia's #1 and Georgia's #2. I know that from my research. So you moved to Winder, you right at home.
That's all right. We're working on that.
We working on it.
Yeah,
We
we're
have the
working on
largest
that.
one though. We do have the largest one in Stone Mountain.
Yes, you do. But y'all
Right.
can keep that.
Yeah, we're right. But
Yeah.
I'm very fascinated about history, so I have to get back with you on, or tell us a little bit more about where you're from and some of that history to let us in on it.
Well, I can tell you this. In Virginia, next to my hometown, about 15 miles away, there is what we call the Virginia Military Institute, which is a school for a college actually for young men. And out of that college, a lot of our young men will go on into military service. As a matter of fact, my brother-in-law went to the Virginia Military Institute and he graduated there. And then Washington Lee University, named after none other than Washington and Lee. And of course, that is full of all of the monuments that you were discussing. The school that I went to Dabney S. Lancaster, which is a community college. And it had an adult degree program, which is what the program that I went through. And that program was designed for women and men who were single parents. And they had a program where you could go for free. They paid for your books, they paid for your tuition, they even gave you a stipend for gas, and they gave you a stipend for childcare. So I enrolled in that program and I received 2 degrees from that school. And I took those 2 degrees and went to the prestigious Mary Baldwin College for Women, which is the equivalent of the VMI college or school for the young men. And so that was a struggle, but with my family, and while I was going there, I even got married. And so my husband helped me, my children helped me, the community helped me because I had people babysitting. I had, people helping me with gas when I didn't have a lot of gas money. I worked full time while I was going to school. I worked shift work at a carpet plant. And I went on and achieved my bachelor's degree in business administration. So I'm very proud of that. And I'm proud that I had so many people helping me along the way. And when I say that the community was behind me and that village, that's what it took to get me there. And so this is, by me going into this political arena, this is my way of paying back to the village or helping to raise that village. So, Natural Bridge, and when I say Natural Bridge, and then there's another little small town called Glasgow, little small town called Lexington, all of that, we all grew up together. We all pitched in and we raised together. And we were taught to be proud of our heritage. We were taught to be proud and be involved in every aspect of life. And I can remember sitting on the back porch with my father and my sister and my mother, and we would always have conversations about what was going on in the world, what was going on in our little small community, and how it all meshed together and how we could have an impact on what was going on. Even though we were just a little drop in the bucket, we could make a difference. And we did make a difference in a lot of ways. So, I'm proud of what we did back there and what we're still doing back there. And you wouldn't believe the number of calls and emails and text messages and kudos and thumbs ups that I've been getting from people back home once they found out that I was running for this particular office. So I'm very happy and proud of that.
Wow. And it does. And believe me, I've run for office a time or two myself. And what I find is, it's people will encourage you to run, but then it kind of like, leave you be out there by yourself. It's tough running for public office. So I commend you for taking this step. I think it's Lao Tzu, the Chinese philosopher, said the journey of 1,000 steps always start with the first one. And too many times the first step that we take is to get in our own way. So I really applaud you for taking this step. And we want to do all we can to get a person like you elected, because we get the representation we deserve, and we deserve better than somebody, Lord have mercy, stealing medicine from old folks and already is trying to struggle survive the pandemic in a nursing home. But that's another subject right now. Now we have you, so
we won't go there.
We won't go there. We want to keep it focused on you. But going back to this village and this village, something you said is like there was power, and even though we're from a small town, we're part of the larger fabric of society. Could you expound on that, your desire to serve from humble beginnings of small town America?
Okay, well, like I said, when I was in high school, there were 75 of us in my graduating class. The school was very small, but we had a great time, and we all supported each other. And even though there was great rivalry amongst the schools, we did have a good time, and we fought each other tooth and nail. But when it came down to it, if one school went to, the championship, we were all there cheering that one team on. It never failed. And, we would go, we would support each other. And the bad mouthing, it was all in fun. We didn't do any of the negativity or the nastiness. And that's the one thing that I don't believe in. I believe in, I don't care what side you're on or propose to be on. I feel like this. We can do this together. We've all got the same goals for the most part in mind. We just have a different way of getting there. And, I used to tell my kids, y'all work it out. Okay, y'all work it out. Y'all sit down, y'all work it out. If you can't, then, throw some sponges, throw some socks, do whatever you have to do, but y'all work it out. And that's what I feel like we can do right here, right now. If you're Republican, if you're Democrat, if you are independent, or if you're nobody, as far as your stance for or your claim for whatever your political views are, we can all get it together and figure out what is the best way, because your way may not be the best way, my way may not be the best way, but we can put it all together. We can put it all together and come up with the best solution. That's what I'm all about. That's what I'm all about. Okay, because I can remember when I was a cheerleader, I used to be washing dishes and make up cheers. Oh, I like that. That sounds real good, nice and punchy. Well, we might go to a game and we would hear the other cheerleaders coming with a cheer. We would share. And they were like, I like that. Can I borrow that? Yeah, go ahead, girl. You can have that. But that's what we would do. We would share a lot of ideas. And the other thing that I want to say too is that I'm a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Okay, that's another thing that I am involved in. I have been a member of Delta Sigma Theta for 46 years. Delta is a public service organization. We do scholarships. We do programs for youth. We do programs for elderly. We do programs for moms, for single dads. We go out in the community, we raise money. And I was the chair of Fortitude Foundation, and we did a program for senior citizens in a couple of these senior citizens' homes. And you would not believe the number of people that were so grateful for what for hats, gloves, socks, blankets, simple things like that. And it was so meaningful to be able to go to those homes and give those articles to those people. So everything that we try to do is for the people. And that's what I'm all about. I'm all about trying to do for the people, for my neighbors, you know, for the folks right next door, if they need a helping hand. But right now, what I want to do is do for my neighbors, for my people. I'm nobody fancy. I'm nobody fancy. I'm the girl next door. I'm the girl next door. And what I want to know is, what do my neighbors need? What do they want? That's my focus. That's where I want to go. That's where I want to take them. And anybody who knows me, and even if you don't, let me say this. I'm an ordinary person. I'm a regular person. I'm a down-to-earth person. I have experienced a lot of things in my life. Some things I'm happy about, some things I'm not so proud about, but that's okay. That's life. That's what we live. And I have done many jobs. I am a mom. I'm a grandmom. I'm a sister. I've been a daughter. I'm an auntie. I'm a cousin. I'm all of those things, but I have worked at McDonald's. I have worked for State Farm. I have worked at a carpet factory. I have worked at DuPont. I used to wear a hard hat and boots and coveralls. I used to climb around on pipes. I used to go down in vats. I used to dig coal. I've done all of that. I used to be a juvenile detention officer. Yes, I did. But for boys aged 13 to 21, I was in the barracks right there with them. Used to break up fights. Yes, that was me. So I've done a variety of things. So nothing shocks me anymore. So I want people to understand that they can come to me, they can email me, they can text me, they can let me know what's on their minds. I'm just an ordinary person, just like anybody else.
Right. Oh, that's awesome. And I when you say you work with juveniles, could you,
Yes.
you give me a little bit more on that? I was trying to figure out, I lost my train of thought, but something you said in that, I was going to ask you about. But how was that experience working with our youth? Because you talk about the village, they say the youth that grow up that don't feel the embrace of the village will come back to burn it down to feel its warmth. And how was that experience trying to, I guess, uplift those young people that are caught up in our system?
Well, I have a very special girlfriend. She and I met because we both decided to go back to school. After we'd had our children, we decided to go back to school together. And she was my mentor and inspirationalist. And I think I was kind of helping her too. So we stuck together, and we applied for this position as juvenile officers. And we both got a job with the Virginia juvenile detention system. And we both got a job with our local juvenile system, which was like within 5 miles of our homes. And this facility was for juvenile boys, like I said, 13 to 21. And most of the boys in this situation, they had either already been in a facility before and they were almost transitioning out, but some of them weren't. Some of them, we were their first stop, some we were their last stop. The issue with most of these boys, they needed some attention. They were behavior issues, right, basically. So myself and my girlfriend, her name is Maxine, and I have her permission to mention her name. We were the first 2 women actually to work in the dorms at this facility with the boys. And there were several dorms there, and each one of us had a dorm that we stayed in. She was right next door to me. And at any one time, we had at least 35 boys in each dorm. And you had to be responsible for each boy. We had to take them to breakfast, lunch, dinner. We had to wake them up, make sure they went to bed, make sure that they had physical therapy. We would take them out to make sure they did chores. We were responsible for every aspect of their life, basically. And the only thing we did not do was attend classes with them. However, we would have to help them with their homework, keep them busy in the evening, which was the time that they would definitely get into the most trouble. And they would call her Miss Mac, and they call me Miss A. And so I think between the two of us, we brought a different discipline to them, because most of the other officers there were men, and they got the hard knock discipline to them. With us, they got a softer and more motherly type discipline. But also, we would read letters, because a lot of the boys couldn't read. So we would read their letters to them in private. We would take books to them. We would take in games and teach them how to play games. Some of them we even taught to knit, to crochet. We would help them if they had some behavioral problems. We would address those types of issues with them. We did everything we could to try to help them transition from the behavior problem into understanding why they were misbehaving, or why they were not transitioning as fast as they could. Trying to help them assimilate back into their family dynamics, those types of things. So it was interesting. It was difficult at some points, because I think at one point I was beginning to see some of the behavioral issues that these boys were exhibiting. I was seeing it in my own children, and I had to deal with that. I had to back up from that. Right. So that was a little difficult, but it was a learning experience too.
Wow, that's some kind of experience, because you tied into a couple things I want to ask you about in your candidacy, about, as far as education and the connection between the literacy rate and the incarceration rates, and how you had to read letters to, from you said 15, 16 years old, you should at least be able to read a letter by that time. But
Many of them couldn't.
Some of our kids at that point are that far behind, and that goes to my questions about education in our community. What are some of the things that you bring to the table that you will try to help implement so that we can do better, to be a better village for our kids in this system?
Well, for one thing, as far as education, I have been reading and listening to this whole issue about not teaching our children true history. And I think that's a problem. That's a problem, because I have always been taught that you need to know your history. You have to know where you came from in order to know where you're going. You have to know your history so that you don't make the same mistakes over and over and over again. Because think about this. Who taught you that the stove was hot? Who taught you? Your mama or your daddy or your grandma? Right. They told you, don't touch it, it's hot. But until you stuck your finger up there, did you not learn? Okay, then you understood what the word hot meant. Okay, so if you don't understand what hot meant, then you were going to keep on sticking your finger up there until you really, really touched it and felt like it was hot. So what I don't understand is, why are people so afraid of the past? The past is the past, but you need to understand it in order to understand where you're trying to go and what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish. Stop being afraid of the past. You need to learn from it, figure out what the mistake was, and let's move on. Stop being afraid. But yet there are people who want us to learn their past, but they don't want to learn our past, or they don't want to learn the Hispanic past or the Asian past or the Indian past or whatever, but they want us to learn their made up past or certain past or certain aspects of the past. And that's not fair, because you know what? We all made this history together. Yeah. And we're going to make the future together, because we're all in this together. That's my issue. I want my kids to understand everything. I want my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren to understand where they came from and how we got to this point and where we're trying to get to. That's the only way we can make it.
That is so good and so true, because there's another saying that says those who don't learn from their history are doomed to repeat it. And so I don't understand. Well, I know we're in Georgia, but we'll talk about the way they rejected the history in Florida being taught to kids. But it's amazing they're not rejecting Chinese history or any other kind of. It's just African American studies is somehow removed from the conversation. And as a Black kid growing up and being given books, it was hard for me to see myself in the dynamics of it. And to go back to something you said earlier about, like, it's a reference I always use, like my grandma, she used to take irrelevant pieces of fabric and sew them into the larger blanket for us. Mm-hmm. And we and our history is so important in the grand scheme of things and how they work. And I think when we deny ourselves that educational process, it's kind of hard for some of those young lost minds to see themselves in the equation, as you referenced.
Yes, I agree. Totally agree. Totally agree.
Right. Now, I know one of your issues, one of your platforms that you talk about is to try to shift gears a little bit. It's like Medicaid expansion and mm-hmm. reproductive freedoms. Any of those topics you want to tap into, let the audience know your stances on those subject matters.
Okay, when it comes down to Medicaid expansion, I think it's unfair that a lot of people who are on Medicaid and Medicare have to suffer or have to make a decision between medicine and food and paying a bill. I don't think that's right. And the reason I say that is because I have talked to so many people and I have experienced it myself. And even when I was taking care of my mother, I know that there were times when my mom would say, I'm like, Mama, why didn't you pick up your medicine? Well, I didn't have enough money. What do you mean you didn't have enough money? Well, the medicine costs $80-some, and my budget just doesn't. No, Mama, you're going to get your medicine, even if I have to pay for it myself. Okay. But the doctor would give her a coupon to go get particular medicine. We would take it to the pharmacy and try to use the coupon. Well, the coupon said something to the effect, and I'm going to paraphrase. And it said, well, if you've got Medicaid or Medicare or any type of state help as far as your medicine, you can't use this coupon. And I did not understand that. So I was in a better position to be able to help pay for my mom's medicine between myself and my husband, and then my kids would chip in also. but it didn't really hit home for me until I had to go get a prescription filled. And the doctor said, okay, well, here you go. You've got to have this particular prescription for a situation that you have. And I said, okay. So I go to the pharmacy to get it filled. You know, they said it's ready, and I had my little coupon and everything. The first month they let me have it. So I went back to get it filled again, and they told me that it was $980 some. And I'm saying, but I got a coupon. And they said, yeah, you used it last month, but we didn't know at the time that you had insurance. And I said, well, what's that got to do with it? I got a coupon for $25. And they said, well, you can't use that because you have insurance. And I said, okay, so how much is it with insurance? $980 some. Okay, so here I am, I have worked and I have insurance, but I have to pay $980 some. But get this, if you are a millionaire and you don't pay for insurance, you don't have any insurance, you can afford to pay $980 some for this one prescription. But if you got that coupon, you can use that coupon and get that prescription for $25.
It doesn't make sense.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay. But me or someone who's on a fixed income or a child, parents are working, you got insurance, you cannot use that coupon.
Wow.
Does that make any kind of sense?
None at all.
The only way around it is for the doctor to go back to the insurance company and prove to them that you have tried this medicine, and this medicine, which are all probably substandard or whatever. But you have to prove, the doctor has to prove that you have tried all these other medications and none of them work but this one particular medicine. And they have to go through all of this rigmarole and jumping through hoops to prove that you have to have this one particular medicine. And then they have to go through a board or whatever to approve you to have this medicine before you can use that coupon. But they still have the option to disapprove, because if there's a lesser medicine, then that's what they may approve you for. But it may not be the best medicine for you.
Right.
Does that make sense?
No, that's why we need to elect more women, man.
That's what I'm talking about. That's why I want to get behind all of this expansion of Medicaid and Medicare, because people are living on, you know, you're living on a budget. You don't have the funds to pay. Why do people have to make a choice between eating, paying a bill, or getting their medicine? That does not make any kind of sense. None whatsoever. I'm sorry. I have a problem with that.
And we all should, but again, sometimes I said that, and I'm not being funny, but it's like some of these decisions that are being made are not by people who are compassionate about the, you know, dinner table issues, as you just laid out there. You know, we all have experiences with elderly people in our family, and they're raised money here and then cut the money over here. And it's like with everything right. Going up and our taxes going up in this area.
Exactly.
But, you know, there's not a lot of, you know, income increases in this area. So it's a lot of things in there that you just tackled and addressed right there that we have to find solutions for.
Right. And as far as reproductive rights, I don't think anybody should have a politician or an anybody to tell them what to do with their body. That is a decision between a woman or a man and their doctor or their specialist or whomever they choose. Nobody in DC or in Georgia as far as a politician should have any say about anybody's choice in what they have to do with their body. That should be an individual decision, given all of the knowledge and the information that they need regarding their physical health. I'm sorry.
True.
Folks need to stay out of, you know what? It's just like old folks used to say, you need to stay on your side of the curb. Okay, you need to stay on your side of the street. Okay, you
Right.
stay over there and I'll stay over here. But you need to leave people. Some people need to. Okay, that's another conversation.
Well, hey.
And especially when it comes to, okay, when you think about, what was it, the little girl who was 10 years old who had been molested and
Right.
she was pregnant? Okay,
Right.
I have a problem with that. What person on earth, what politician on earth would want their child at 10 years old to bear a child after being molested?
Mm.
I'm sorry. And then you want to make a decision like that for somebody else? Okay, I have a problem with that.
Yeah, we all
So,
should.
Yes,
all
we all should.
And I want to throw this out there. I know we have a few people out there. If they had anything that they wanted, they can raise their hand in the chat or type their question or concern in, or if they wanted to come on and say something, just let us know. This is open dialogue, open conversation with candidate Shelby Diamond Alexander. I see we have one hand up. Hi.
Hi there.
Hey, Peggy Perkins, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. Shelby,
Yes, ma'am.
tell us all how we can help get you elected.
Well, first of all, go vote, please. I'm number 2 on the ballot. My name is Shelby Diamond Alexander, the longest name on there. Please go vote. Second of all, tell your neighbors, please just get out to vote. There's a link out there where people can text. You can text people to get out to vote. You can go to my website and volunteer on there. We've got flyers going out. We've got, well, Peggy, go ahead. You know, don't you know?
I know. I just thought I would get you to tell everybody.
Now, I promise you, I was gonna get that in right at the end, because I emailed Monica Franklin, who is our director of Barrow County Board of Elections and voter registration. I emailed her to, ask her the questions that I get asked all the time in the barbershop, where people really don't know. I'm telling them it's Barrow and Jackson, and so, but they don't know if they in District 119, and so. The information that Monica sent me was that the deadline to request an absentee ballot was last Friday. So for people who like to vote absentee, it's too late. You have to get up and go out there and vote for Shelby Diamond Alexander so that we can get the representation we deserve. And I know for Bethlehem, I know it's Barrow and Jackson, but in Bethlehem, she said Restoration Church is one of the, if you vote at Restoration Church, at 1250 Tom Miller Road, that you're in District 119. And if you vote at the fire station in the big city of Statham where I stay, if you vote at the fire station, Shelby Diamond Alexander will be on your ballot for there. But Peggy, if you have any other thing you to add to that?
Uh-oh, you're on mute.
Oh, we muted you. We're sorry.
I forget. There's a total of 5 precincts that are going to be open. And unfortunately, I don't have it right here in front of me, but there are a total of 5. It was recently published in the Barrow County News Journal that came out last week. Shelby must have that. I don't have that in front of me, but there are 5 locations that you can vote on January the 31st from 7 to 7. They've had early voting since January the 9th. I think Shelby has reported that very few people have actually come out to vote. There are 6 Republicans running and 1 Democrat. Okay. So Shelby has a good chance of either winning it outright or making it to the runoff. And having been born and raised in Bear County, what I want to tell you is that should Shelby win it outright, we're going to have to put in additional sewer lines throughout the county because the Republicans are going to have the worst case of diarrhea that they've ever had. They will not know how to handle this. So we need people, we need Democrats especially come out and vote. I know that in this particular county, we're accustomed to not having Democrats run. So we probably didn't even think about the special election, figuring it was Republicans, because to me, it's awfully suspicious of how quick all this happened.
Mhm.
You know, Shelby's performed miracles of just trying to get stuff going to be able to get on the ballot and to get her name out there. So we need to encourage Democrats. Okay, here's our chance. Here's our opportunity. Bear County has been so gerrymandered that they have made it safe for Republicans. You don't see our Republican representatives even come campaign, period. They don't have to. So this is one thing that I would say to other people is, all right, if you want a candidate to work for you, to actually pay attention as to what our county might need versus what a lobbyist says need, or just being a reliable Republican vote, then we need to go Democrat. And we've got Shelby Alexander, who is an excellent candidate. She's a woman, so she knows how to think. She knows how to spend money, not lavishly. She knows how to make a penny squeal.
Right.
Most women do. So she's got what we need to represent us at the state capitol. And that's all I'm going to say, and I'll hush it up.
No, I totally agree. And I will like to add to what you're saying, like as you know, as we seen as a red district, because that's how we usually vote. We need to stop just having a binary reaction to if you're this color, you're blue, you're red, and vote for the best people for the job to represent all of us. We all in this together. And everything you said, I just appreciate you coming on and saying that, because sometimes we feel like we have to choose what we're used to. And that's not actually the case. We can choose what's best for us. And that's Shelby Diamond Alexander in my humble opinion. And I thank you for coming on and you know, saying that.
Thank you, Peggy.
Thank you, Peggy. We have a comment, Shelby. It's Vanessa, and I won't say her last name, but she said, thank you for your service. It's good to see good and positive community people looking out for the elders and their neighbor. And it goes back to what you said, it takes a village. And it's more of the concept of you're not running because of you. You're running, it's one of Muhammad Ali's shortest poems I heard him say, it's not about me, but we.
Right.
And so appreciate that comment, Vanessa.
Yes. And you know, that's something that I've been telling the committee since I became the chair. I said, it's not about me, it's about we. There's no me in team. It might not even be a we in team, but I put a we in there because it's all about us. You know, I'm not out here to put a crown on Shelby's head. It's not about that. It's never been about that.
Yeah.
It's all about what we can do and where we want to go, and the accomplishments and the goals that we are striving for. That's the bottom line, you know. And like in the last couple of days, I've been getting some emails from people asking me about the school tax for seniors. Yes, that's something that I would definitely like to look into. So that's one issue that has been brought to my attention. It's not new because I've considered this beforehand and talked to people about this. But what I want to say is, if anybody has anything that's on their mind, that's in their heart, that they are concerned about, bring it to me. bring it to me. I'm approachable. I'm down to earth. You can call me, you can text me, you can email me, whatever. I'm here. That's what I'm here to do.
Now, what is the best methods for, we're down to like 5 minutes. I will leave the door open if anybody else had anything they'd like to add to the conversation, but I want to make sure that we get your information in and to reiterate some of the deadlines for voting, Republican or Democrat, but let's vote for the best candidate that can represent us.
Right.
And can I ask one question? But no, hello,
Please,
I'm Wanda
hey.
Jackson. Hey, and I've been in and out, so I'm seeing about my grandfather. So a question, because there's 6 candidates. How does this type election work? Is it going to be who gets the majority? And you may have covered this, and if I missed it, I'm sorry. So what's going, because I feel like if we only have one Democratic candidate, it's a strong possibility. So I just want to know how it works as far as percentages and who wins.
Okay, well, the bottom line, oh, go ahead, Barnard.
No, I was deferring to you and Peggy on that one. Now, I don't know the answers. That's my question to Wanda. Thank you for answering that.
Yes. Okay, well, basically, if I can get 50% or more of the vote, then I win, or we win. Let me put it this way. We win, okay? If none of us get 50% of the vote, and I can get enough votes to be in the top 2, then there'll be a runoff. Okay, does that make sense to you? Okay, so
Yes.
So that's our goal, either be in the top 2, one of the top 2, or get 50%. If we can get 50%, beat them out, then we are in.
Got you. Okay, thank you.
That's what we want. So
Because that's a
how
question
we-
people have been asking me, so that's why I got on this call to kind of figure that part out.
Yeah,
Because it's not being put out
it's-
there and explained to us. Yes,
right.
It's 50% plus 1.
plus 1.
Right.
Okay,
And if she doesn't get that and she's in the runoff's February 27th.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So we'll be back in your face again. 'Cause I'm not giving up.
because I think that'll be the same day as the school board election, because one of the people from the school board, the chair stepped down, Bill Ritter, there's going to be, right now it's open for people that wants to run for that position, so that may run along the same time.
In May. In
Yeah.
May.
Thank
But
you so
but
much.
We need our folks to get out and vote. We need our folks to get out and vote, and I'll be right there for you.
I'm sending a reminder out on my church now. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, girl. That's what I'm
Yeah.
talking about.
Thank you. Thank you. We have another message to say I voted early. Luckily, I had not been notified. I would not have known about this election. Thanks for the info. And so any last thoughts? I know I want to end with, if you are unsure of whether you can vote in this election, please contact Monica Franklin. Just try and see. You may be in the district, you may not be, but if you're in the Barrow and Jackson area, you rather err on the side of trying to vote than sitting at home on your hand, because we need all hands on deck for us to get the representation we deserve. But Monica Franklin is the director board of the Barrow County Board of Elections, and her number is, and I'll put this information on my Facebook page, but her number is direct phone is 770-307-3510. 770-307-3510. All right. Any closing thoughts of how people can stay in contact with you, get involved behind your campaign until they can vote, or tomorrow, hopefully?
Yes. Okay. Folks can reach me at SHELBEDForGeorgia.com. That's my website. You can email me at Shelby. Okay, hold on a second. I just lost my train of thought.
Let me spell Shelby for it, because I misspelled your name.
please.
That's Shelby, SHELBEY for
Yes.
Georgia.com. That's SHELBEY for Georgia.com.
Yes. And my email is Shelby SHELBEY at Shelby, SHELBEY 4 FORGA.com.
Again, I will put those on my Facebook page attached with this interview. Shelby, Peggy, Tawana, Vanessa, thank all y'all for tuning in. We're running up on our time, but I will make sure I put that on there. Please get out and go vote for candidates that can help us build the beloved village that we all deserve at this kind of time. Thank you,
Thank you,
Shelby.
Barnard. I appreciate it. Thanks everyone for attending.
All right, thank you.
Bernard, you may
Yeah.
want to put on your website another way that you can find out what district you're in is go to my voter page,
Mhm.
sos.ga.gov. And you can put in your information like your name and birth date, I think.
Could you
And
say
it will
that
take
one
you to
more
my
time,
voter
Peggy?
page and it will tell you which House district you are in.
Could you say that one more time, Sister Peggy?
It's my voter page, MY voter page. And that can be found, and Shelby, make sure I'm saying it right,
Yes.
SOS, as in Secretary of State, .ga.gov.
All right. Thank you. That's great information. And that's how we all can partake in making sure we get the representation we deserve. Thank you all so much. That's my time. I'm Barnard the Barber. That's Shelby Diamond Alexander, candidate for District 119. Shelby Diamond Alexander. Thank you all for tuning in. That's my time. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.